Hi, I'm Nick Hughes. I'm co-founder of Inspire Tribe and co-developer of the EQ Code. And in this video, I'm going to talk to you about the real cost of emotional intelligence in our workplace and also potentially at home. Emotional intelligence is relatively simply defined in this framework by Daniel Goleman. Emotional intelligence starts with self-awareness, our ability to understand and notice our feelings, emotions, and reactions in our body. And then self-management, our ability to control and interact with those feelings such that we can guide them in a way that's going to serve us, to help us get more of what we want, and ideally not wound those around us. The next level of emotional intelligence is social awareness, so our ability to understand and predict and work with others' feelings and emotions, and our relationship management, our ability to work with those feelings and emotions of others such that we can influence them in a way that suits them and suits us, so we can align and get more of what we want and also create good in the world. Now, when it comes to emotional intelligence, most often the focus is on high emotional intelligence and low emotional intelligence, which I will talk about today. But there's also looking at the emotional intelligence gaps, which I feel is far more important because a lot of individuals have a relatively reasonable level of emotional intelligence. How do we know that? They look good and happy on the surface, but it's the gaps in emotional intelligence, and when those gaps are pushed on, that see individuals crack under pressure in unexpected ways. If we consider high and low emotional intelligence, low emotional intelligence for an individual, we'll see them having anxiety and stress and overwhelm. And it's not necessarily totally low, it might be low emotional intelligence for the pressure of the situation that they're in. Okay, so fixed mindset, executive burnout, all come from not high enough emotional intelligence for the pressure that the individual is experiencing. And then we've got in teamwork, we've got avoidance, avoidance of important conversations, friction and blame, communication challenges, and all those sorts of things happen in teams when we've got an overall low emotional intelligence going on. When it comes to individuals with high emotional intelligence, much more likely to be confident, decisive, and engaged. Always no, but regularly yes. And when it comes to teams, synergistic collaboration comes from people who are really able to use their feelings and friction that they feel to go to higher ground and work together to solve those feelings and look after each other's feelings. And that also leads to innovation and wonderful insights. So high emotional intelligence, great for the workplace. In fact, it's been statistically proven that 90% of high performers will actually have high emotional intelligence. So consider the high performers that you've got in a company, 90% of them will actually have high emotional intelligence. And when it comes to low performers in your company, just 20% of those people will have high levels of emotional intelligence. So when we're looking at this, we can see that if we improve the emotional intelligence of our team members, then they're likely to go up the scale of performance on average. Good to know. The other most important thing to know, and I think sometimes it's really good to be able to put numbers to something as fluffy as emotional intelligence. And I love these numbers around US wage earners and what they earn based on their emotional intelligence level. This information is very widely available on the internet, and it basically states that for every increase in your emotional intelligence, for every point of increase, your annual income is likely to improve to the tune of $1,300. And on average, a person of high emotional intelligence will have an income that is $29,000 more than a person of lower emotional intelligence. Now, business often say, business owners are like, how do I put a cost on what emotional intelligence is worth to me? And I think this is a wonderful figure, because if highly emotionally intelligent people are earning about $30,000 more on average, then it's pretty easy to correlate that to a business making at least $30,000 more profit, and likely significantly more from those high income earners. We like to pay people who make us good money more money in order to keep them. So these people are making their company more money, and these people are not making their company as much money. So the lower emotional intelligence level, the lower profit an employee is likely to make you. I think it's also important to consider the hidden emotional intelligence issues that are out in our society. So I'm going to run through 5 different statistics that are common that are Australian statistics, recent Australian statistics. And I'm going to do that and then just summarize the impact of these, because all these statistics that I'm going to show you are basically to do with an individual's home life and their social life, not necessarily the workplace. but we all know that our home life and how we feel at home, how good we feel in our relationship, how good we feel in our relationship with our children and our social life is going to impact how we feel when we rock up to work on a Monday morning. So bad home life, we're unlikely to have as much energy for the workplace, or if we're escaping our home life by coming to the workplace, then we're likely to feel a little bit defensive, and we're likely to be more task orientated and less feeling orientated because we can't be feeling orientated in our own personal life. So these statistics, as I say, they're general social statistics, but very used in an emotional intelligence frame. And apologies for my blurring. So statistics are 1 in 2 marriages end in divorce. 1 in 4 individuals in 2020 will experience a mental illness. Surprising statistic when I first heard that. 1 in 10 teens who's currently going through the schooling system has reported that they've resorted to self-harming behaviours in order to deal with emotional pain. So better to deal with physical pain that they can see than the emotional pain that is in their body. 1 in 6 women in Australia have experienced physical violence. And perhaps the most shocking statistic, in my opinion, by far the most shocking statistic and a very surprising one, is that between the age brackets of 12 to 25, that's the first age bracket, and the age bracket of 26 to 45, the number 1 risk of death for those age brackets is suicide and suicide again. So really, really surprising statistics, shocking statistics in my opinion, that in a country that's, you know, as lovely in the external environment as Australia is, people feel so bad within themselves that the only way that they see of feeling better is actually not to be around at all. So when we look at this, this is our average workplace. So if you've got 10 people in your workplace, then of course, about 5 people are going to end in divorce, but not only are they going to end in divorce, their emotional intelligence gaps between 2 individuals is going to see those individuals start and maybe come together and feel awesome when they first meet each other. But when those gaps start to become obvious and they grate on each other, then those individuals can go from being deeply in love to fighting and chaotically not in love and deeply unattracted to each other. And that actually leads to divorce in the end for people who get married, but lots of relationship issues along the way. Now you might say, well, I'm not responsible for my employees' home life nor how good they feel in their relationship. But at the end of the day, and you're not in charge of whether or not they get their physical violence or they choose to self-harm, or even whether or not they choose to stay around or not. But as an employer of choice in the coming years, and even just someone who's looking to improve the well-being of their team members so they can show up to work feeling good and look after you and your company, improving their emotional intelligence levels will not rid all of this from their life, but what it will do is reduce the amount of it that happens. And when we look at the obviously struggling person in a company, can often help us to give a very tangible personal understanding of what emotional intelligence cost is happening in your organization. So whether your organization be 3 people or 300 people, I'd like you to consider just one person in your organization, the person who's obviously struggling when it comes to their emotional intelligence challenges, so the gaps are quite obvious to yourself and the rest of the team. That doesn't mean that they're the only person who has low emotional intelligence, because most people hide their gaps, but this is the person who doesn't hide their gaps so well. It's obvious to everyone. Now, just think of their name. Doesn't really matter what their name is, but just so you've got a person in your head. And then I'd like you to consider, what percentage of your time do you feel that that person is less than 50% productive, purely because they are caught up in some internal emotional thinking and feeling drama. So they're either beating themselves up, feeling bad and hiding from the rest of the team, or avoiding conflict or avoiding important conversations, or they may be being aggressive and unaware of how often they're impinging on other people or not being good in the teamwork. So if you consider the time that this person is less than 50% productive because of the emotional highs and lows, what is that number for you? I can tell you from asking a number of executives, the average number I get is between 5 weeks to 10 weeks per year, and it's most often towards this range. That an individual that they're thinking of is losing about 10 weeks of high productivity because they are dealing with emotional challenges. When you consider the cost of just that one employee and paying them for time when they're not being productive, it's a massive cost in and of itself. But of bigger cost is the opportunity cost. that the company is losing by that person being overwhelmed with their own emotions and therefore not present to being able to use their emotions to create synergy in a teamwork, come up with innovative ideas, and stay present to others' thoughts and feelings such that they can really work together and align beautifully. So people are going off on all different tangents, and the opportunity cost that's lost there is absolutely massive. So when it comes to business, it's pretty clear. Business in itself is not that complex. We have a business strategy. We bring together the skills of a team. But it's a mindset, and more importantly, the emotional intelligence of our team member that depends how much of that potential profit that we're going to access. So where strategy and skills overline, there's the potential for profit. If we have team members with limited mindset and a limited emotional intelligence, we'll access a limited amount of that profit. But if we can expand the emotional intelligence of the team members, then we expand our ability to access more of that profit. Remembering, for every point of increase of emotional intelligence for the team of themselves, it's $1,300 more in their pocket. So for a company, I'm going to say it's about double that in the company's pocket. So more emotional intelligence, more money, more profit. It may not look that obvious, but hopefully this short video allows you to see the importance of emotional intelligence. Now, I'm Nick Hughes. As I said, I'm co-founder of Inspire Tribe. I'm also co-founder of the EQ Code. The EQ Code is a truly beautifully simple emotional intelligence coding system that helps people of all levels of emotional intelligence to come together. We explain the very simple black and white logic that underpins all emotionally intelligent decisions, and we show people how to find the feeling-based space within that logic that suits themselves and their team members. If you'd like to know more about the EQ Code, feel free to check out our website or look at some of the other videos that go through that in detail. Thanks for listening. And if you'd like to contact Inspire Tribe, please feel free to check out our website or send me an email or give me a call. Thank you.